I wanted to quickly, a few gems that I picked up from my illustrious panelists and friends, which I'd share with you. One, of course, divergence in thought, but convergence in action. I think that in many ways is symbolic of the power of diversity. The challenge is nobody is open to new ideas, and even if you are open to new ideas, there isn't enough leadership to bring it together and then unify and put your forces and strength behind an action plan that is then uniform, that one purpose. So that's a reality that we are faced with. Two, as Krish very beautifully put it, short-term pain for long-term gain. Arnold Schwarzenegger used to say this when he went to the gym. And it is painful. These biases, I'm telling you, these realities are difficult because you have to change. And when individuals have to change, that is the most painful thing because they are in a comfort zone. And to shed these biases, you have to challenge yourself. No program in the company can get rid of these individual biases. It's about thoughtful communication, purpose, one-on-one engaging with business managers that can only allow for a new way or a new thinking to emerge, and diversity being at the center of it. Those two, I believe, are fundamental to our success moving forward. I now open the gallery for questions. Please state your name. This is also a test of your ability to ask a question in 30 seconds. So state your name, ask the question, and if there is a specific person you'd like to ask, please also mention that person's name, and that person will respond. Okay? So, over to you. And now, given that we don't have any women representation on the panel, I think we will start with a woman asking the first question, just to be inclusive enough. Sameer.
Yep. Yes.
Yes. Thanks. Thank you. Sir, you'll have to go for a makeover before I can allow you to ask that question. If you are willing to do so, I will allow you the question. So, first question from a woman, just to be inclusive. Just to be inclusive. Please ask. This is not a race to ask the first question, but please do so. And therefore, for business to carry on, you can ask the first question now.
Well, I am chairman, Anand Group of Enterprises, and gold medalist in HR. The jury of HR experts have talked about various points of diversity as business strategy. I would like to share a few points of mine also. They have talked much about the men and women and not touched the minors, who are much more in strength and much more effective in, if not in the mainstream, but in the ancillaries. Ancillary units, minors are working more. That is not talked about. And then they have talked more about women. Now, for your information, now the management is scared of employing women. I'm not against, but they are scared of employing women nowadays, for the obvious reasons known to each of us. Then, there are certain points of diversity otherwise also. Diversity of thoughts has not been talked much about it. Diversity of decision making has not been talked about. Diversity of opinion, diversity of modus operandi of handling labor problems, diversity of material, diversity of recruitment, and then the challenges which diversity is exposed to. You have been referring to it, but much less has been talked about the challenges of diversity. If you are, these are my points I am sharing which have not been talked about. My question will be straight. I'll just keep silent, my question will be coming out. These are the points which have not been touched about.
Sir, well, please ask your question in the interest of
yes,
time.
Huh? I would, my question is that these points, and then in diversity of human beings, The third gender had not been talked about, which is now legally recognized.
Right.
I would like to know as to what is going to do, what we are going to do about third gender, which has been legally recognized, and what about the challenges of diversity, which are
Is there
open
any
to us?
specific person you'd like to ask the question, sir?
Yeah.
No. Okay. Who would like to
Mr.
answer?
You'd answer it.
So your specific question, if I can summarize, this is my test of 30-second test. You would like to know what we are going to do about the third gender, which is now officially recognized.
Sure.
Go ahead, yeah, go ahead, LGBT.
That is a really great question, and I think the evolution is happening. And I tell you, we're a long way off from there, sir. I mean, I'll give you an example. In a previous organization that I worked at a colleague who happened to join Yahoo as well, very bright young engineer. And he came, to see me, saying, I want to talk to you. And he was looking really, really kind of choked up. I said, what's up? He said, I want to go to Sunnyvale. Sunnyvale, California is our head office. And, there's a lot of cool work there, which is fine. But he looked like something was deeper in there. And since I've known him for a couple of years, I said, hey, you don't look that good. It's more than just the work. Tell me more. And he's saying, you know what, Ani, I'll be honest with you. I don't know if, he said, let me tell you, you've known me for a lot of years. I happen to be gay. And my family doesn't know it. No one knows it over here. Everyone's really open to this organization. But I don't know if anyone's going to accept me. And I'm not even going to find a life partner here in India. I need to go to the US. So all of a sudden kind of dawned on me, I thought, we're this great open company, all this kind of stuff. What do we have in our organization which actually supports a person like this to say there are other folks, that there are other people around you? So I think that if we can actually look at even somebody like that and start saying, okay, what are we doing to promote the LGBT agenda? That's what I think the third gender will be the next wave. So I think that right now is that we're not even there yet. So if we're able to at least admit to the fact that there's going to be, gay and lesbian, to me, is going to be, that's almost the first frontier. If we can do that in a younger generation and see, we have a support group, we have, what they call straight supporters, that's our first step. And then I think the third gender will be following that as well. But I'll tell you, that will be a huge hurdle. And I'll be honest with you, I'm very optimistic about, where we're going as an organization, or as we're going as an industry for this. I think that's 10 years off, if I look at the third. That's my, and I hope I'm wrong.
Okay, thanks, Ani.
Thank
Next
you.
question.
I am Arun I head the HR Legal and Compliance of Ericsson India. So my question is that, the government involvement in enforcing the laws, is prime important. What I believe is that, like we have Equal Remuneration Act, should we not have Equal Diversity Act? What is your say and what is your advice to the government of India, so that probably we have that kind of act, so that in the coming years, like this act can be prepared, made effective from 2020 at least, so that we have that, vision in our minds, and we all work towards it. So what is your say in that?
Can I answer?
Yes.
No, I partially agree with you. Fact is that the parallel example available is that reservation for scheduled caste, scheduled tribe, OBC, and I tell you as an employer, this has really helped that community. I mean, if you see the composition in my company, almost 40% of the people belong to that community, and that has come through reservation. But this hand holding should continue how long? That is the problem. That it passes from generation to generation. Now that is something which, as long as that you bring them up to a particular level, hand holding is fine. But beyond that, I don't think it should be done. But I agree with you that if reservation comes, it will be definitely useful. I have seen it, as I told you, in the engineering colleges. Reservation did help. It changed the mindset. It changed the environment. It has really brought out a lot of inert talent and talent which was hidden. And I think that will be helpful.
Best of the best companies, the diversity, if we talk about the ratio, if we talk about the diversity ratio in best of the best companies, it's not more than 25%. Even, how hard we go for it, the ratio or the percentage does not go higher than 25 or 30% maximum. So we should, have some enforcement onto it with a time frame, so that we all actually start thinking onto it, until and unless something is enforced to us, we all Indians here, we are from that part of the world where when things are enforced to us, then only we are able to, abide to it or, follow it.
You're absolutely right. I was part of that CI committee which worked on affirmative action, which is now called the CSR bill. Okay. The basic intention was what you are saying, to mandate few things, okay, and link it with the type of money you're going to spend as a corporation on those areas. I think since the bill will come up in implementation from 2015, we'll see then how it gets rolled out. But fundamentally, we need to provide that impetus as, what you are saying, to ensure that we mandate it and then, we build it up on that.
Okay, thank you for that. Any more questions? Oh, there you go. Please introduce yourself, ask your question.
Hi, my name is Hani Sharma and I am from HR team Barclays.
From Barclays?
From Barclays, yeah. So my question is from Aniruddha. Sir, that you've worked in various Western countries, any best practices that you would want to share to attract diverse talent?
So attracting talent.
Yeah.
Good question. To me, if I look at, I'll look at companies and, is it countries or companies or both?
Both.
Both, okay.
Yeah.
So again, I'm going to show my passport bias. I'd say Canada is probably one of the best in terms of actually doing this. And the reason why I say that, and I'll start country then go to company, is the fact that, if you look at employment equity that came in Canada, about a little over 20 years ago, it kind of started from affirmative action in the US. Now, if you read all, civil rights and affirmative action, it was definitely really more about numbers and quotas. And frankly, if you look at in a private sector organization, there's no business imperative for it. So you're like, oh my God, another compliance thing I got to do. Crap, I got 2.8% racial minorities. I need 5%. What happened in Canada? They said, no. It's not about numbers. It's going to be, you have to reduce the systemic barriers and the glass ceilings, and then the numbers will come. So equality versus equity are two different things. Right. And so the whole idea is, I may treat you the same as the way I treat Samir, but by doing so, maybe disadvantaging you. In Canada, they get that. So when I look at the stuff that we did, and I'll say the year, 1991, and we were rolling on stuff, and this is in the public sector, this is in the provincial government, this stuff was light years ahead of the times of what we're doing in the US then. So I think as a country, they've got it right in terms of the way they manage diversity, because the systemic barriers is, how do you have mentorship programs? How do you have support groups? How do you have opportunities of, secondments where you try to do a job which is beyond you if you happen to be in a so-called minority group? So that's, I think, a country that does it well. Now, companies, I think what it is, it comes back down to capability and ability. And I think that if you get people to do great work anywhere, and I think in the technology sector where I'm at, in a way it's easier, because if you are a really good coder, I can have you in Iceland coding in the middle of the night and it's a great job. I don't know what color you are, I don't know whether you're the third gender, I don't know what your religion is, and it works well. So I think that if I look at the Silicon Valley in general, and a lot of the startups, they're really embracing that. And I think this whole notion of part-time work and working from home and leveraging technology, it's unbelievable, because they're not only looking the best of the best, they're also emulating the client. So if I look at in India, we happen to have great tech talent, but often if I find front-end engineering and design is better where the market is. So if you go to the Valley, you'll have a microcosm of the entire world, and that's why I think it works. So I think that one, as a country, Canada is probably the one that I'd put on there. My bias for that. And number two, I think the Valley and technology does it, and in a way, it's probably easier for us in that sense. Have I answered your question?
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Do you think challenges also in terms of the policies which we have in India and policies which we have out there in Western countries?
I'll be honest with you, and this is, please disagree with me. I think it has nothing to do with policies. All of us probably have 100 policies in each of our companies that we've never read. I think it's more about the leadership culture. And what I mean by that is that if I happen to have a CEO who's a woman, which is amazing. If I look at my leadership team here, the majority of the VPs and senior directors, we're guys. So what happens is we're in a place of privilege, and forget about what the policy is. If we're able to go and help break down those barriers and help do the mentorship, I'll give you an example. I happen to be the executive sponsor for this WIT, Women in Technology, which is a networking group. So on one hand, they said, Ani, why are you doing it? You're not a woman. Yes, I'm not, but I have privilege, guy privilege to get into different things and break down some barriers for people. So I think it's going to be, that's part of the way that I'd actually see it. It's less about policy, it's less about guidelines, and less about any kind of rules, and more leadership, owning that, creating that inclusion, and actually sticking their neck on the line to do something different. That's my opinion.
Good. Thanks, Ani.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Okay, let's go right at the back. I'm going to come to this part. Right at the back, the woman raising her hand there, right there. That's my bias playing out.
Hi, my name is Pooja Sethia and I'm an HR professional with Pitney Bowes. My question is, should a company have diversity because it makes business sense or because it's a good CSR initiative? The question that follows next is...
One question. That's your question?
No, but then...
Or was that your question?
This is one question. I have one more.
Okay, hold on then. Hold on to that question. Krish, CSR or business?
I think it's clearly business. I don't think CSR is like it's not core to the business, and if you keep it as CSR, it's not going to really help. As I told you, I think in many cases, having women, that's one part of diversity. Having diverse thoughts, diverse types of people helps you grow the business. One example, Anirudh spoke about innovation. Innovation just doesn't come by having people of the same types. Yeah? Innovation comes by having a diverse group of people. If you look at the consumers that you serve, therefore in marketing and consumer insights, you need people who understand consumer, and therefore women play a great role. So clearly, if you want to build diversity, I think it's clearly to do with business. Yeah, and I think that's the only way it's going to work. The only question is, do you see the result in the short term? May not. It will take you some time to see the result. And that's where we got to really persevere and see that. There are companies which have invested in diversity in the long term and have seen great results. And I think that's where it needs leadership to see that long-term perspective and continue to build diversity so that you get those results in the long term.
My second question is that if an organization decides, I would have diversity only if it makes business sense, and if having diversity does not make business sense for that organization, should it not have diversity?
Well, that's up to the organization. I think clearly there would be some organizations, let's look at manufacturing industry, he's got iron and steel plants, and then maybe it doesn't make sense. So there are different industries which may have their own reasons. So I think it's left to each of them. But I'm saying for bulk of the companies which deal in products that everyday consumers use, and where the amount of people that the kind of the society is, because the organization is a microcosm of the society. Therefore, you got to really try and represent to get the best results there.
If I can add just one line, I think diversity should be understood as celebrating individual excellence. Yes. So in no context can it not be applicable.
Correct. I agree with him.
It's when you understand diversity to be celebrating an individual's uniqueness and set of strengths or gifts. It's applicable in every interaction, in every situation, in every company, in every country, in any part of the world, in every situation.
Fully agree. Absolutely agree.
Yes. Last two questions. And then I think somebody's been raising their hands here.
Hi, good evening everybody. I lead business development for H&R Block. I don't have a question, but I have a statement if you guys allow.
30 seconds, you have your shot.
Sure. After listening to all your expert views and understanding the importance of diversity, and listening to all of you, putting into practice what we have listened, would like to offer all the members, all the organizations, the employees, the women employees, and giving our premium services, which is a worldwide premium services. I'm sure all the women are going to take advantage of it, free of cost. The details we would request organizers to provide you.
That was the best sales pitch I've ever heard. Okay, my friend, your 30 seconds up.
Sure.
Let's go here.
No sales pitches.
Hi, my name is...
Has it gone somewhere else, the mic? Yeah, go ahead. Ask the question.
My name is Vikas and I lead the social hiring effort for HL Technology globally. So all what I've heard in last 1.5 hours, I think if I can summarize it, I should say that our focus to increase diversity should be on men rather than women, because most of the policies when we make, we keep women in focus and they say this is the policy, this is the program, this is the affinity group we should make. But all what we have spoken in last 1.5 hours, problem is men. And that's why perhaps, and for last many years we are making an effort focusing on women. Numbers are still sticking to that 25%, it is not going up. For instance, I can talk about, I'm from hiring, so Anirudh can perhaps, second that. So what happens is that we get a target saying that 25% you need to hire and it should be women. But when I present a resume to guy, again, what you said, that he says, okay, my customer says 24/7, he says late work hours, weekend, and therefore I only need male candidate. When the same business unit goes to forums like this, he talks about diversity. So I think the problem is we should stop focusing on women, start focusing on men, start the programs, policies around them, educate them, and I think the numbers will go up.
Okay, there was a question there. Yes, ma'am.
So, hi, my name is Aarti. I'm working in India Bus Technology as a manager HR. I have a query. We talked about diversity. We talked about women. And as the sir said that during our recruitment, our aim is to hire at least 40% as women candidates. And yes, it's pretty obvious that when we are hiring some freshers, they are going to stay with the company at least for 2 or 3 years. It goes for male as well as it goes for female. But when we talk about married women employees in the organization, there is a recent study or analysis that shows that now women are putting their health at risk because they are getting married late, they are having babies late, because they have a perception and a normal phenomenon in their mind that the moment they are going to have a baby and they are going to come back to the organizational perspective toward them will decrease. So like we talk about employee engagement and building a workforce management and so on, and so many jargons. Are we really keeping those women engaged in the organization? We have women and female, we have female workforce working in the organization, which we can showcase to, during these forums or any other place. But do we really have a middle line of women workforce in the organization? Because they have a greater capability. But is the organization really tapping that? So that is my question. Thank you.
Go ahead, Sameer.
So one is you are absolutely right. If you look at across the sectors which some data throws up is a women employee with about 5 to 7 years into the career, and that's where the choke point is happening. The sudden drop you have. And that's the reason that you don't have too many women in the leadership positions, because that's your feeder point to the higher positions. It's a huge drop that happens at that point of time. A lot of organizations have started, part-time working they're promoting. They're promoting a lot of project work that you can sit at home and work on projects, can be a contingent worker with a company so that you remain engaged while you're still managing your family and social requirements right now. There's a whole program I know companies have started which is bringing moms back to work, So I think the organizations have to really think more creatively about that. Apart from that, I think we need to go beyond and start creating facilities which are helpful in terms of how we can help them. Let's accept it. Women end up playing multiple roles for us, They have the family to take care, they got a husband to take care, they got kids to take care, and they got in-laws in our context to take care, and they have to manage home, they have to manage the career and work also. I think we need to somewhere be a little bit more sensitive in ensuring that and we don't have strong support systems in our country, that we are able, as an employer, able to provide some sort of support systems which can help them to manage and multitask. I think one of the biggest challenges we have seen is when they have gained the most experience which is helpful for the organization and they are rearing to move into the leadership positions, that's the time they quit. And that's where the whole issue is coming up. And the organizations are struggling because of that. So you're right, I think we need to think.
Okay, last question and right at the end. Go ahead, you stood up. There was somebody behind you, but you can ask the question now.
He has been struggling for quite a long time.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Varinder Vats. I lead the HR initiative with Ramki Group. It's an infrastructure engineering group. My question is, if you adopt diversity as your business strategy, being a HR person, how do you convince the management basically measure return on investments? The question is to Krish.
How do you measure the ROI? How do you measure the ROI? If you adopt it, how do you measure the ROI?
So, let me try to attempt that, I think. One is, as he was preparing for this session, I just went to the internet and came across a study which showed that in Fortune 500 companies where they had significant women in the leadership roles, their return on equity and the total return to shareholders was much better than the industry average. And then, it was an overall study, and then I clicked on to CPG, the consumer product industry to which I belong, and this was higher than the overall average. So there was a business case where the companies in the West are tracking return on investment. I think there are certain areas where we will have significant, you can measure it, and probably the areas which we have been able to measure, as my experience is more in the value chain than predominantly inside. And inside you can have the usual matrices of your attrition, your stability, and how you have been able to promote
performance ratings.
For example, instead of not only focusing on your recruitment numbers, you should start thinking in terms of your fill rates across all levels. Then are you able to accelerate the leadership people to the leadership roles across the grades as you start growing up, and how you've been able to address and balance I think you use the word balance your diversity talent. These are some of the indirect measures which will help you to really measure what sort of return on investment you have. But is there a direct measure? Probably that's more where you are making a business sense, like are you giving an asset to physical assets to somebody to really build up a business, or are you imparting a business knowledge, which is more in terms of value chain management. But internally, I think it's indirect measures which you can see in terms of your talent pipeline availability, your presence of talent across all the levels, how you are able to do the fill-up rate, the number of percentage of people you have, diversity talent in the leadership positions. In all holistic way, you have to look at that. Any specific ROI, I don't know, but this study I came across, I'll be more keen to really look at that, how they have been measuring this. But the empirical data suggests that diversity at the leadership level, more you have, better return you give to the shareholders.
Okay, with that, thank you very much for being a patient and encouraging audience. Subject is one that...
Hello, Puri Saab, may I be allowed?
Sorry?
May I be allowed?
Sorry, we've come to a close.
One line.
We won't get our mementos, I've been told.
Pati Saab, can you just tell me how to diverse the thoughts of technical and non-technical people to create the employer branding?
Sorry, we are not following your question.
How to diverse the thoughts of technical people and non-technical people to create the employer branding? Employer branding creations. When the thought of technical people and non-technical people, there are two different thoughts of all the things. Can you load line?
Say that question. What's the question again?
So I was just told that Krish here will personally answer that question over a drink with you after the session.
Now there is a diverse behavior from the part of the chairman, I think.
Thank you so much once again, and celebrate your own diversity at your workplace and be a responsible propagand of diversity as a subject of interest to businesses around the world.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. A big round of applause for that well-fielded question by Mr. Nishya Suri. And thank you so much for managing that session so ably. I'd like to now request the business head at Shine.com, Mr. Cyrus Mistry, to please present all our panelists with a small token. Thank you very much. If I could request our panelists to please take their seats down below. As I invite for the closing remarks, Mr. Yusuf Poonawalla, Senior Vice President Domestic Business at Cox & Kings. Mr. Poonawalla has been with the company for nearly 2 decades and has been instrumental in changing a lot in various branches for the better. He has greatly helped in turning around the domestic sales activity. And as a pastime, Mr. Poonawalla also writes a blog called The Y Factor, where he reviews movies from the perspective of a paying audience member. In December 2012, Mr. Poonawalla was given the additional responsibility of taking over the sales activity of the outbound group tours division, Duniya Dekho. May I invite Mr. Poonawalla now to make the closing remarks. Yes.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Won't take much of your time. Since the topic is diversity, I would like to start with, if anybody heard this dialogue, "Kitne aadmi the?" Anyone? The answer should be Sardar Do. So 2 people started this organization, Richard Cox and Henry Kings. Cox & Kings is a company which started in 1758. It's one of the oldest travel brands across the globe. We have our headquarters in Bombay. We have about 111 representative organizations in the country, in the world, 150 franchisees pan-India. That's the map for everybody. The main focus out here. Everyone is interested in taking a break in today's stressful times. Leisure forms a very strong part of our core business. We have diversified in various factors, Flexi Hall being our outbound FIT brand for individual customized holidays, Duniya Dekho being our outbound group tours brand for group package tours, Bharat Dekho being our domestic brand which has customized individual holidays as well as group tours. Gaurav Yatra and Anand Yatra are the 2 brands where we have glocalized, where we have gone local in Gujarat and Maharashtra and even started our own television serial called Army Travel Club, which comes on Zee Marathi. We've successfully completed 2 seasons of that this year. And MICE, which is predominantly something which comes into your foray. Meetings, incentive, conferences, and exhibitions. We organize tours for dealers, for employees, and for distribution partners. Alongside of that, we also do events. One more area of interest which could be of to all of you is an employee portal concept that we have come up with, wherein we customize employee portals for individual organizations, come up with exclusive holiday offers for those organization employees which they would not get off the rack across the market. We do these BTL activities in those individual organizations whom we tie up with, and then it sort of motivates them to escape work and make us work more. Just a little bit of this, which is also part of our AV, 14.4 billion miles, 27 million room nights, 18 lakhs lives touched, 258 years of trust. Few of our clients, as I said, will not take much of your time. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Poonawalla. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we've come to the close of the event. I'd like to now just quickly run through our thank you list for our partners. We begin with the presenting sponsor, Fiat, associate sponsor, Cox & Kings, mobility partner was EMIFreeCar.com, hospitality partner was Hyatt Regency. Our event partners are Nimai Developers, Relocate XP, RAS Developments Private Limited, SCAC Consultants, Modi Institute of Technology, Central Warehousing Corporation, BlackBerry, BBM Messenger, H&R Block India Private Limited, RVS College of Engineering and Technology, and LexisNexis. A big thank you to all of you, ladies and gentlemen, and to all of you for having attended the HR Conclave. As you leave tonight, do remember to tell your valet that you were attending the Shine HR Conclave so that you'll be waived off the parking fee. We'd like to now invite you to please join us for drinks and dinner. Thank you.